If you've ever wished that you could stop your thoughts from spiraling and in the moment, or you're thinking in a negative way and you just can't seem to change the way you're thinking, or you can't get out of your bad mood, or you can't break that cycle of comparing and despairing, and you know that you're doing it to yourself, but the thoughts just feel bigger than you. This episode is for you. In this coaching episode of the Confidence Podcast, I'm teaching you what I call the catch and correct method. This is a tool that once you learn it, you will use it, I truly believe, the rest of your life. If you're somebody who is committed to a growth mindset, to thinking and feeling better in life, and to being the best version of yourself, it's a powerful and practical tool that's going to help you stop any manifestation or expression of negative thinking before it steals your joy. That doesn't mean that we're eradicating negative thoughts. That's not realistic. We're going to know what to do, how to notice, how to catch them, and how to correct them. That is all going down in today's episode. I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive in. You're listening to the Confidence Podcast, where we do confidence coaching for driven, high-achieving women who want more. Because high-achieving women deserve high-level confidence. I'm your host, Trish Blackwell. Let's get started. Hey guys, it's Trish Blackwell, and you're listening to the Confidence Podcast, your resource for weekly tools to help you elevate being the best version of yourself, thinking at your highest level, and honestly, showing up with more joy, having a joyful, fulfilling, and impactful life that makes a difference, because I am really committed to my belief that you were made to make a difference. You are a difference maker and world changer. But to tap into that, to be that full version of yourself, we've got to train and grow our confidence, our confidence and our courage, which is what we do here on the Confidence Podcast. If you're new to the show, welcome. I hope you hit that follow button and subscribe so that you don't miss any upcoming episodes. It also, in the the very misunderstood and magical world of the podcast algorithms, the more subscribers we have that do the automatic downloads, the more our show gets shown to more people. So if this has been a happy coincidence that you have found this show enjoyable, you've listened to past episodes and been blessed, encouraged, or had your life changed by them, I would ask that you hit subscribe or follow, you leave a comment, and that you write a review. That will pay it forward to help more people find this free resource. Okay, we're going to dive right in. The catch and correct is a simple way. You know, if you've listened to more than one episode of mine, you've probably heard me talking about narrative intelligence, which is honestly what the core and seed of confidence is. It's your ability to have a good narrative about your life, what's happening around you, so that you are always in a place of control and that you are moving the needle forward. When you feel in power, and you will show up powerful. When we feel without power or powerless, we start shrinking back, playing small, second guessing, overthinking, and all that comes with insecure thinking. So we are really going to break down, how do you get, when you realize that if we were to look at generalizing our thought patterns, and you have confident thought patterns and neural pathways, right? The way your patterns are just a repeated type of thought that creates a neural pathway, so that in your brain it actually just becomes more default, more automatic. So if we have confident pathways and we have insecure pathways, this is a massive oversimplification, but for the sake of today's episode and today's coaching, if you can acknowledge and recognize, wow, I am operating from a place of insecure thinking right now. Maybe that's scarcity thinking, maybe it's stressed thinking. All of this is categorically under the umbrella of insecure, lack-based, fear-based, anxious-based, insufficiency-based thinking, which is where most people spend a lot of their lives, because we don't know we have a choice to think anything differently. One of the most powerful things you can change about your life is the acknowledgement and ownership that the greatest asset you have is your brain. The greatest gift you have is your ability to think about what you think about and change your thoughts and start training your brain, which we do that by repeating new thought patterns, intentional thought patterns versus unintentional ones. And we start realizing and accepting that we have more power over how we feel, over who we are, over the impact we make, over the future we have, simply not by being more disciplined or doing more, thinking better. The better your thoughts, the better your life. Change the quality of your thoughts and you will change the quality of your life. And so in today's coaching, the catch and correct method is a variation of reframing, but it's the reframing in the moment. It's the reframing when you're like at this absolute point where I don't know what I'm like, how to change the thought, or I can recognize I'm in a insecure thinking pattern. How do I shift? The catch and correct method is the tool I want you to think about and go, oh, I just need to catch and correct here. And guys, before I go any further, I do need to pause. I forgot we do have one announcement, and I am at the time of this being published, I am down under. I am doing an incredible trip with my family at the moment, and we are in either in Australia or New Zealand at this time. And the good news is I know that you are out there too. We are listeners worldwide, and I am doing a podcast meetup both in Melbourne and Sydney. And so if you are in that area, please go to my Instagram at Trish_Blackwell. I have all the dates. I'm going to be hanging out with people. I believe it's July 12th and 21st. They're Sunday nights. And we're just going to be hanging out, grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of tea, grab a glass of Prosecco with me. I have all those details. If you are in Australia and you want to come and do a podcast meetup and just hang out for an hour or two, would love to just hang. So all that information will be on my Instagram. Or if you're like, whoa, like I can't find it, just shoot me an email, trish@trishblackwell.com. I would love to see you and just hang out and connect in real life. So if you've been wanting to have that cup of coffee with me, this is your opportunity. All right, let's talk about this catch and correct method. Let me give you the definition of it, and then we'll go from there. It's a simple way to rewire your thought patterns in real time. The catch and correct method, it's a coaching framework that it's going to help you become more aware of what your unhelpful or negative thoughts are, and we're going to catch them. So here's how it goes: catch, correct, and repeat. Now, you might have, one of my most listened to episodes is the first thought episode. I will try to link that in the show notes for you. It's from like 4 or 5 years ago. And the whole premise of that episode is that your first thought of the day determines the outcome of the rest of your day. And while we are not always responsible for our first thought, we are in control of our second. And so the great example here is if you wake up and your first thought is, oh, I'm so tired. If you let that be the first thought, the anchor thought, you're going to feel fatigue the rest of your day. You're not going to shake that funk off. So what we want to do is go, what is my cornerstone thought of the day? So that first thought, it's not a problem because you can't always choose it. But what we do, we can always choose our second. And that second thought is where we go, I'm going to catch this. If this thought doesn't serve me, how do I replace it with a thought that does serve me? The most powerful thing you can do to change is to change the way you talk to yourself. And every thought that you don't challenge becomes a belief that you live by. Remember this, our beliefs, our thoughts were repeated over and over and over enough to make it true. And if we don't challenge our thoughts, then we will start to believe things about ourselves that may be very untrue, very ungrounded, but they feel so real because we've repeated them on this massive loop that keeps going because we never question it. And another way to say it, if you don't catch the thought will catch you. Now, if you share a faith background like me, you've probably heard the verse that says, take your thoughts captive. And I loved that verse and was inspired by it. And I spent years going, but how? I acknowledged and was aware that I had a lot of negative thoughts. I had a lot of thoughts that didn't align with the truth of who God says that I am. I had a lot of fear-based thoughts, and I knew I needed to take them captive to change them, but I didn't have the how. And today is my answer to that. How? And what helped me was to start imagining my thoughts as actual entities, as clouds in the sky, so to speak. And if I imagine my thoughts as a cloud, then when I take it captive, if I'm just looking at the sky, I can take my butterfly net, so to speak, or maybe it's a rodeo rope, and I'm going to launch it up and catch it. When I was a little girl, one of my favorite things to do in my sport, I was a swimmer, was when we had summer swimming outside. I loved doing backstroke outside because I would spend the whole workout when I was backstroke, just making shapes with the clouds. Because here I was on my back, staring, working hard, exercising, but I could see the sky. I could see the clouds. And I want you to have that perspective. You're looking around, just having awareness, being curious. Oh, look at those clouds. That's so pretty. They kind of look like a bunny together. And oh, that cloud's dark. Interesting. And that's what we're doing with our thoughts. We're looking at our thoughts with that sort of curiosity. And then if you see the dark cloud and you might go, it's a little way in my sunshine, then take that butterfly net or the rope or the whatever it is that you envision that you could catch it. I want you to imagine yourself catching it. Maybe it's just your hand going up and catching it. And then I want you to look at it. And that's where we go. That's where we take the power, where you say, I can actually take my thought as an entity, look at it as if it's a thing, and then ask myself, do I need this thing or do I not? It's very much like decluttering your house. If you're doing that spring cleaning, or I'm currently trying to do little sections of my house 10 minutes at a time, right? Because I have kids and we accumulate things. And you look at that thing and you go, if I threw this away, would I miss it? Does this make my life better having this in my house or not? In the same way, you're going to take that thought, catch a thought, and look at it with curiosity. And then, does this need to stay? How do I correct it? We need to correct it. Sometimes the correction is, I'm going to send you off and, hey, I don't think like that anymore. That is how I used to think. That thought no longer serves me. I no longer believe that thought. You can keep on going. Pass on by in those clouds. And you imagine the thought. Then you need to use your brain to imagine that thought floating away out of your sphere of vision. Sometimes that thought might have some deeper roots to it where you need to correct, you need to talk back to it, or the thought is a very dark cloud and it is heavy and pouring on you and it feels like you can't get away from it. It's not just going to pass by. It is a storm that's there to stay because you have evidence and because you're ruminating on that thing, that hurtful thing that somebody said, or you looked in your mirror, or the scale did something today that made you feel so down on yourself. So on those thoughts, we correct them. We have to talk back to them. And we have to remind ourselves that thoughts are not facts. An unexamined thought can destroy your day. So we want to look at that thought and just go, what if this is not fully true? And so what I want you to do in the catch and correct method is to catch the thought. You're going to recognize, ooh, this is a heavy thought. I've got to catch it. You've caught it from the sky. And how do you know? You'll know if you need to catch it or if it passes by. Like a pass by thought is sort of like, oh, like it's easier. It's a quick reframe. It's a quick like, oh, like I'm talking about the thoughts that really get you down, make you feel off, make you feel get in your head, make you feel discouraged. And we got to recognize the cues. You might feel a physical sensation. You might feel an emotional shift. You might feel just down. You might feel that you get urges to eat. Maybe you are breaking patterns of emotional eating and buffering. We call that buffering when you're avoiding an emotion. So an anxiety trigger, or you might notice self-critical language. Then I want you to go, I'd be curious and say, what are the simple thoughts that are behind some of these more complex ones that I need to catch? And they're often very, very simple. You have a couple core lies that you're probably telling yourself. And if you haven't yet listened to episode 644, I'd highly encourage you to listen to the lies that are stealing your confidence. I break down a lot of what some of those are. So after you listen to this episode, go back and listen to that one. But some of them are, I'm behind. I'm not good enough. This will never work. And what I want you to practice is a practice statement and say, wait, I'm just going to catch this thought and look at it with curiosity. Would I want anyone I love to say this to themselves? And if you can answer no, then we correct it. Ask yourself as you look at it, is this thought true, helpful, or kind? It's very much, again, I have young children. I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old, and they love each other, right? But they're siblings. And there are times when they'll say things to each other that are on the surface fine, right? And it goes both ways. So I'm not going to pick on one versus the other, but inevitably one will say to the other, well, blah, 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 blah. And it technically wasn't mean to say, but it was unnecessary or not kind. And I will pull that child aside in front of the other and say, hey, Was that kind? Was that necessary? Did you need to say that to him? Did you need to say that to her? What? Tell me how that was helpful in building up your sibling, because in our family, we cheer each other on. In our family, we are each other's number one fans. In our family, we are building community and unity no matter what season of life. I don't care if you are frustrated with yourself. You are each other's siblings for your life, and we will treat one another with respect. So tell me, in the context of that, was what you just said helpful? Was it true? Was it kind? We can do that same language back to ourselves. And then we replace that with an affirmation, a possibility question, or a script. So an example might be, hey, this might be hard, but I can figure this out. Even if they judge me, I'm proud of how I show up. I'm a person who shows up and is brave. I choose to believe it's working even when I don't see it yet. I have the grit to keep going. Essentially, you're going to correct with either a reframe or a power phrase, a reframe or an affirmation. When I work with my students in my mentorship group, the College of Confidence, or in my one-on-one coaching, we talk about about a thought plan. A thought plan is a list of 5 to 7 responses to your core negative thoughts, that these kind of repeat offenders of I'm not enough, I'm not skinny enough, I'm not smart enough, they might judge me, I'm afraid. Whatever your core thought errors are that are negative, that pull you down, your thought plan is going to be a list of 5 to 7 affirmations that are kind of pre-scripted already, reframes for you to answer back so that you can catch and correct on the go. You don't have to spend time going, oh, what do I say back to myself? You know, when that negative thought comes up, you go, I got you. I know what to say to you. I know exactly what to say to you so that you can be corrected and released. And then what we do, you notice that the catch and correct method was catch, correct, and repeat. We have to repeat and nurture the new narrative and then repeat the process of catching and correcting our thoughts as many times as necessary. There are days, typically when I'm hormonal or I'm particularly exhausted, or if there's a lot going on in my brain, that my catch and correct has to happen. My catch and corrects and my reframes happen 25 to 80 times in a day. And y'all, there are days where I might only use the catch and correct method when I'm well rested, everything's easy, things are falling in line, like 2 times. So please allow yourself to understand that give or take throughout the day, you're going to have fluctuation. And the more you practice catching and releasing, the more fluid it will become, the more natural and easy and effective. Just like anything, this is a skill. Like if you started playing the sport of basketball and you're like, I'm going to be a great 3-point thrower like Steph Curry, like, you might get 1 out of 10 if you start, but like, let's be honest. How do you get good at free throws? By doing thousands of them. It is a skill, and your body needs to get that automatic biomechanical pattern and timing of how to master that shot. This is the same thing as any skill. It starts clunky. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And then the more effective you get at it, the better you get at it. So if you don't know the process of how to do effective reframes, we're talking today about quick reframes, a catch and release. And the catch and correct method, I meant catch and release. We're not fishing here. Catch and correct is going to be helpful for you to know how to write that thought plan that I talked about, how to write affirmations that are responses to your core repetitive negative thoughts. That is something I teach in my Reframe Mastery course. So I'm going to link that in, but you can check it out. I'll link it in the show notes. You can check it out at trishblackwell.com/reframe. In less than 5 course sessions, I'll teach you everything you need to know about how to reframe like a master. But you might also be interested in my affirmation engine, how to create effective affirmations for yourself. That is going to be linked in the show notes as well. And you can get that at trishblackwell.com/affirmations. And then once you catch, correct, and I want to encourage you to visualize, you repeat. And that might mean, hey, it's okay. I think sometimes and I say repeat because I want you to be open to, if you catch a thought, you correct it and you release it, and then it comes back, you're like, whoa, this was not a boomerang. This was a release. Like I let you go. I reframed you. Why are you back? Can we just accept sometimes thoughts are boomerangs? Sometimes they come back, and this is not me using the boomerang just because I'm in Australia, but that is a concept that it's not a problem if that thought boomerangs back. It just means repeat what you just did, catch, correct it, and escort it out again. No different than, again, our brains are like little toddlers or young children that sometimes listen and then sometimes are like, well, but are you sure? Like I can tell you, particularly my son, who's my younger one, there will be times when he says, maybe I ask him to do something and it's a joyful, yes, mommy, yes, ma'am, okay, I'll do it. And then there's times where, I ask him 7 times to do it. So that is no different than the one catch and correct or catch, correct, catch, correct, catch, correct, catch, correct. No, I just have to repeat myself sometimes. It's not a problem. And the beautiful thing is the more you repeat this practice, the more you're going to rewire these neural pathways, going back to our big umbrella at the beginning of the, generally speaking, insecure thought patterns versus confident and powerful, pitiful and powerless thought patterns, powerful and confident thought patterns. And the catch, the idea of seeing your thoughts is a way to pattern interrupt. Sometimes our negative thoughts, sometimes when we're in a funk or overwhelm or in our heads, it can feel so hard to even see your thoughts. It just all feels awful. I have been there. And so that's why for me and why I was like, okay, take your thoughts captive. Cool. But it's my whole brain. I, at that point, felt so overwhelmed by all of my negative thoughts, all of my self-critical thoughts, all of my perfectionistic pressure that I didn't know how to separate the thoughts. I hope that you try on this visual. And if you do, please let me know. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, let me know if this cloud example helps. I love seeing your comments, but seeing and separating and visualizing each thought as a cloud gave me the ability to separate them down. Another analogy that has been very helpful for me to separate my thoughts and be able to catch them and decide if I want the thought or not. And if you've been listening to my podcast for a long time, you've heard this analogy, but if you're new, I want to make sure I share it. It's that every thought is a train. So we know that at that metaphor, you have a train of thought. Every thought takes you somewhere because trains go somewhere. There's always a destination. And if you're on a platform at a train station or in a metro and the train is approaching, or at an airport, the train's approaching, what do? We look at the front of the train. The front of the train says where it's going. You have the destination on the train that tells you when you're looking at the train and deciding, is that my train? Do I get on that train? Do I want to go to the destination that is taking me? You make that decision and then you get on the train. But if you arbitrarily just get on every train that passes by, you're going to end up in places you don't want to be. And I can tell you, there was a time when I was in my 20s, my girlfriend and I, she's my best friend. We were on this this little Euro tour, and we had a Euro pass, which at that time was like you kind of just hop on any train and go anywhere. And we were joyful and completely not paying attention. And we were supposed to, I think, go to Belgium, and we ended up in Germany. And then we took the train back, and then it was a big thing, but it was a literal example of not looking at the train you got on. We just thought that was our train. We got on. We were probably a glass of wine or two too far in to be traveling at that time. And we just hopped on and we ended up in the wrong country. That is what's happening in our brains when we don't examine every thought that you go, do I want to get on that train? Meaning, do I want to buy into that thought, or do I want to let that thought pass me by? If you've loved this episode, take the next step and master the art of reframing. As I said, go and check it out. It's trishblackwell.com/reframe. You'll get access to the 5-day Reframe Mastery Challenge. And I've thrown in over $600 worth of bonuses into that. It's all just $27. So a great place to get started on taking some of this content to the next level. Other free episodes to check out that will help you deepen this practice is this is a throwback, episode 372. And you can certainly scroll through your podcast app and you'll be scrolling a while, or you can go listen on my website, trishblackwell.com/372, how to reframe rejection. So that is an episode specifically on reframing rejection and see it as a good thing. And then episode 647 is also really good, reframing thoughts, limiting beliefs, and anxiety. You guys, I am so blessed and privileged to get to be a voice of encouragement in your life. If this show encourages you, please make sure you're following. Please make sure you share with somebody you love, write that review, and let me know. Come connect with me on Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or come and coach with me in the College of Confidence. I would love to mentor you. You can find out more at collegeofconfidence.com. I want to remind you today, you were made for more. Now let's go live like it. Thanks for listening to the Confidence Podcast and allowing me to be your coach today in your life. If you love the show, please let us know by leaving a review in iTunes. Are you encouraged by what you learned? Share this episode with a friend and let us know that the show is changing your life by saying hi to us on social media at Instagram, Trish_Blackwell, or on Facebook, Trish Blackwell Coaching. Ready to take what I teach and really take it to the next level? Join us today in the College of Confidence. It's my group coaching program that you can join risk-free and cancel anytime. In the COC, you'll scale your confidence, your courage, and the changes you make in your life. It's the coaching support and community you've been looking for. Go to www.collegeofconfidence.com to get started. If you love the podcast, you will love the College of Confidence even more and see even more transformation in your life. Come and see for yourself. I'm cheering you on, friend. See you soon.